Lovely people, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you coming on board. Family, through the negligence of African Union, both Somalia and African Union, they are now facing 6 key challenges, dangerous challenges in the face of just one disgraceful situation. When you look on your screen, lovely people, you see Africans on one side, European on one side, facing each other. On the other side, you see Europeans with boldness sitting there looking at the Africans as their puppet, and Africans sitting there as puppet. And that is exactly what is happening there. These guys went to the United States and then drag our image on the ground because these are our representative family. These are the representative of the Beggy Association, African Union. They beg a lot every time they are looking for money. They went to the United States for begging, to go and beg, and they were disgraced. And this is a disgrace to all of us. Let me give you details of the situation, and after that, we look at it from Pan-African point of view. Before we start, lovely family, we are almost 100k subscribers, and I plead with you to help us cross this line. Some people even, there are many people watching this platform, they even thought they have already subscribed, but they haven't. If you are watching, enjoying, and vibing with our content, but haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment to join the family. Much love and respect to everyone supporting this journey.
Somalia has many natural resources, including uranium, iron ore, tin, gypsum, bauxite, copper, salt, natural gas, pastures, phosphate, guano, and coal. According to the International Trade Administration, Somalia may have at least 30 billion barrels of oil and gas reserves. Amazing Somalia is rich.
Now, the situation at hand. The United States of America has refused to give money to support the African Union's new peacekeeping plan in Somalia. There is a new peacekeeping plan structured by African Union known as AUSSOM, the African Union Stabilization Support Mission in Somalia. This mission, the African Union Stabilization Support Mission in Somalia, is a peacekeeping operation which is supposed to start 2025, authorized by African Union to replace the already peacekeeping mission which is operating currently in Somalia, known as ATMIS, which is African Union Transition Mission in Somalia. The new one is supposed to replace this one in July. So it simply means that they realize that the old one is not getting the job done, so they are trying to replace with the new one. The second issue about this, the last minute disappointment of African Union. African Union, they don't fund anything themselves. They rely on the West and Europeans to fund their programs for them. All their peacekeeping missions, they rely on Europeans to solve it for them and to fund it for them. So somewhere 10 to 11 thereabout in May, top African Union and AU leaders traveled to Washington. As usual, they were not received and honored as Traore was in Russia. Traore went to Russia. We all saw how he was received. He flew in the air in convoy, moved on the ground with convoy. All his requests before the president of Russia were granted. He was not disrespected. But African Union, an organization who is supposed to unite Africa, they went to the United States and packed them in a bus to their venue as usual, hoping to get money, dollar, hoping to get financial help from the United States for this new mission that they want to use to operate as a peacekeeping mission in Somalia. Upon these individuals getting there as representative of 50-something African nations, loading up their requests of what they need, the amount they need to start the operation of the new mission to replace the old one, the United States officials rejected the request. They are not going to give them money because their mission have problem, including poor planning and lack of shared responsibility from other international donors. The United States is not the only person funding the program. There are other Europeans funding the program, but the issue is that these other Europeans who are funding the program seems to be backing off. They are not contributing enough. The United States did not just refuse, but they lay out conditions for the support. At a meeting in Kampala last month, the US made its position very clear that they will not fund the mission unless others or other countries also contribute money to fund the mission. Another condition is that the United States want major changes to the mission's structure to match the current security situation in Somalia. This is the narrative they pull on board, and then this is what they are requesting. In other words, the United States want things to go according to how they want it to go. Now, what is the mission about? The mission is about this group called al-Shabaab. This group have been operating and disturbing the peace of Somalia for almost 20 years now. Still, al-Shabaab is still a threat. Even after almost 20 years of AU military presence in Somalia, this extremist group, al-Shabaab, is still very powerful. The question, who is sponsoring them and what made them so powerful even after almost 20 years? I don't want to get into trouble, but what made them powerful? Who is sponsoring them? After all this so-called effort of the United States together with AU and co to make peace and defeat the al-Shabaab, recently in Somalia, al-Shabaab has gained back lands in areas near the capital city. This particular new attack by al-Shabaab or of al-Shabaab have rolled back many of the gains made by Somalia forces together with African Union. All their efforts were rolled back because of this attack, which is the reason why a new mission is now created by the African Union to continue the course. Meanwhile, lovely people, the ATMIS, which is the current AU mission, which they want to replace, is already facing a big money problem. There are reports of $100 million in unpaid salaries and debt. They are not able to pay the soldiers and people on the ground making the effort. Some people are just taking the money, eating it, or spending it. This lack of money to fund the soldiers, it hurt the soldiers' morale, first of all, and increased fear that Somalia will be left without protection if the new mission, which is AUSSOM, African Union Stabilization Support Mission, if this mission doesn't start on time, Somalia will be left vulnerable, much more vulnerable. And yet, even before the mission starts, the mission is already facing rejection from those who are supposed to support the mission with money. Now, donor fatigue is now growing. Many Western donors, those who are contributing to the cause, they have lost interest according to report. Why are they losing interest? Because they have spent billions over the years, but progress in Somalia has been slow. The truth in here is that the people giving AU the money are the same people directing how AU should operate. They are not allowing AU to handle the situation the way they want it. No. Now, when the result is not coming out positive or good, they blame the AU. Meanwhile, AU is not free to make any decision on its own. The contributors or the donors, those who are contributing, funding the program, they decide what happened on the ground, yet they are taking the blame and giving it to AU. Now, some people also believe that, there are speculations that much of the money given to AU has been wasted completely. This also has led to what people are calling the donor fatigue. When people contributing, when donors feel tired and hopeless about the result of their support to solve a particular problem, they get tired. Now, another thing on board, critical one, Somalia's political tension. At the same time this thing is happening, Somalia's politics are unstable. The president Sheikh Mohamud, he has promised to hold national elections in Somalia where everyone can vote. However, rising conflict with other political groups and state government make this promise uncertain. And again, many areas in southern and central Somalia are still under al-Shabaab control. It makes it much more harder to plan proper election in Somalia. Somalia is now facing uncertain future because as global support decreases and violence increase, the future of African Union peacekeeping in Somalia is unclear. You can't detect because they don't have money. Without funding and a clear plan, because they don't have any even concrete plan, because their plans are structured by the people giving them the money. Things are not clear in this regard. So if they don't have the support window and a new plan, the situation could become even worse in Somalia. Right now, African Union, they say, no, don't come here again. We are not giving you any money. A disgraceful thing like that happened to African Union. And they kept quiet on it. Yes. They kept quiet on it. They have mouth to talk about Burkina Faso trying to invade Burkina Faso those days and cool. But today, they face the greatest disrespect and disgrace. They kept quiet over it. This, to me, is a wake-up call for African self-reliance. The United States of America's rejection of financial support for the African Union's new mission in Somalia is not just a diplomatic setback. It is a powerful reminder of Africa's need of unity, self-reliance, and strategic independence. The fact is, for decades, African peace and security have largely depended on foreign donors. And some of these donors are benefiting from this conflict. That is the fact. This reliance on the foreigners has left the African continent completely vulnerable to the changing interests of Western powers. When those interests shift, as we are seeing right now, African missions or African Union missions are left underfunded, unstable, and ineffective. Dependency weakens sovereignty. That is a fact. You are not free. The person who feeds you controls you. A truly sovereign Africa must be able to defend its own people and territories without going to beg anybody for money. You have all the resources here. Why do you go there to go and beg for money? This disgrace that they have gone to receive in America should let them understand that Pan-African military and strategic unity is now essential at this critical moment. A fractured continent cannot defend itself. If Africa had a unified defense strategy like what Kwame Nkrumah proposed, or a standing continental force, the Somalia crisis could have been addressed without begging at the mercy of external powers to the level of being rejected disgracefully. Now, this is where it concerns all of us. So look on your map and look at where Somalia is. Somalia's struggle is Africa's struggle. The threat posed by al-Shabaab is not Somalia's alone. It is a regional and continental threat that weakens the image of Africa's leadership and unity. When you check your map, where Somalia is, it is a regional catastrophe that is coming. Kenya is there. Uganda is behind, Rwanda is behind, Tanzania is here, Ethiopia is just close, and Djibouti is just there. It could escalate because this al-Shabaab, even if defeated by Somalia, Kenya and Co must be very careful because these people will not go inside the sea. They will go into one of those countries. They will separate into those countries. So we are talking about serious issue here. So ignoring Somalia's instability today, it will definitely result in greater regional insecurity tomorrow. So this is a moment to rethink the role of the African Union. The African Union must transition from being a reactive body to a decisive and proactive force. It needs complete reform, not only in structure, but in vision. To act in the true spirit of Pan-Africanism. This is the term for Pan-African Union. To have roots, to have ground, to stand. In conclusion, this movement is a wake-up call. Instead of seeing the United States decision as a loss and looking at the United States as an enemy or people who don't want to help and people who are seeing them. So is their money? Is your money? Africa, we should not view them like that this time. It's their money, it's not your money. So we must view it not as a loss, but as an opportunity to grow up, stand together, and build a lasting peace from within ourselves. True Pan-Africanism is not about waiting for help. It is about creating African solution to African problems. So lovely people, this is how your people have gone there to drag us on the ground. Let me know your thoughts in the comment and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. All right? Respect.